Hello everyone, my name is Paolo and I'm going to present a joint work with Shoka, Dipesh, Safdar and Ta. Our work is an empirical evaluation on the usage of quality indicator in search-based software engineering for assessing the solution of multi-objective search algorithms. So in search-based software engineering, a lot of problems are multi-objective. This is in general in computer science. And for example, in this case, you have two objectives, F1 and F2, that you want to minimize, and you use a multi-objective search algorithm to solve them in the following MOSAs. A MOSA produces at the end of the search a set of solutions called Pareto front that are non-dominated by any other solution. So usually you run your search algorithm multiple times, or you run different search algorithms, and you want to compare the solution, but you cannot compare Pareto fronts directly. So usually people use quality indicator. This is an example of quality indicator, hypervolume, that builds the volume existing between the Pareto front and the reference point. The higher the hypervolume, the better. So in this case, we will consider the left solution better than the right solution. If we look at the literature, for example, this recent survey, we see that there are here 100 quality indicators. They consider different aspects like convergence, spread, uniformity, cardinality. As usual, we are wondering which quality indicators should we use. Are they going to give the same result or are they going to give different result? So let's take this example. If we have two solutions given by two different MOSAs, and we want to ask two quality indicators their opinion, and we say the first quality indicator may say, I think MOSA B is better. The second quality indicator may say, no, I think MOSA A is better. So in this case, we say that the two QIs disagree. So we wanted to conduct an experiment to understand to what extent QIs agree and disagree in search-based software engineering. We took 11 search problems from search-based software engineering. They have from 2 to 4 objectives, and they're a mixture of industrial and open source problems from our previous work. We took 6 MOSAs and 8 quality indicators. The study is divided in 2 parts. Before we run all the experiments, and then we collect the data and we analyze the data. So as for the first part, we run for each MOSA and for each problem, we run it 100 times. Then we calculate the QIs. And then for each pairs of QIs, we compare their evaluation over the 100 runs of 2 MOSA using man-Whitney A12. The result tells whether the 2 QIs agree in comparing those 2 MOSAs. We did this for all the search problems and for all the MOSAs. And then for each pair of QI, we can come up with a contingency table like this, saying overall, given any pair of MOSA and any problem, how many times the 2 QI agree, the green cells, and how many times they disagree, the red cells. We want to answer 3 research questions. Actually, we have more, but yeah, we don't have time to analyze all of them. So the first question is, in general, which is the agreement between QIs? So do QIs agree in general, or which QIs agree? The other is more specific. The second research question say, is there a relation with the particular search problem and the agreement of the QI? And the first research question is that, is there a relation with the MOSA that they are analyzing and the QI agreement? For the first research question, we took all the pairs of QIs and we analyzed 3 metrics: overall agreement, just the percentage of the agreement, the Cohen's-Kappa coefficient that gives a value to the agreement of 2 rates. The higher the higher the value, the higher agreement, and the Boker test, in which if you reject the null hypothesis, you claim that there is disagreement. we see that in general there are disagreements between some pairs of QIs, those here and here. And regarding the free matrices, more or less they give the same result, but sometimes they're different, and this is expected when you use different metrics. And what we found interesting that some QIs that they share the same quality aspect, so we may expect that they give the same result, they actually disagree. Regarding the second research question, we want to see if the search problem relate to the agreement. We took all the pairs of QIs, and here we plot all the agreements across the search problems of kappa and overall agreement. And we found that actually the QI agreement changes across problems. And by using Fisher exact, we saw that there are significant difference in 19 cases, and there are no significant difference in 9 cases. Like, for example, in this case and this case, there are no difference across the search problem. But only in our 19s, there are differences. And then we did a similar study, but now considering the MOSA. So is there a difference in the agreement by changing the MOSA under study? Here is one part of the research question in which each point here is the agreement of each pair of QI for one MOSA with respect to all the other MOSA across all the search problems. So we see that for most of the QI, there are no significant difference. So it doesn't really matter which MOSAs you are comparing. So and so only in 3 cases there are significant differences, like, for example, for ED versus PFS. So it seems that while the search problem influences the agreement, the compare MOSA, they don't. So from all our experiments, from all our research question, we generated a table like this of observation, because we think that so user in search-based software engineering, but in general, they want to choose a quality indicator, and maybe they want to choose only one. And in that case, they may want to choose the quality indicator that is somehow more representative of all the other quality indicators, or they may, and here we call single representative, or they may want to select a set of quality indicators that give like an overview of the different type of opinions of the quality indicator. So here in this table, we for different settings, like we say which quality indicator you should use if you are in one of the 2 sets. So let's take one example. Here we are, if we want to compare M is a MOSAs with N that is an SGA. So if we want to compare this, which quality indicator should I use? If you want to have only one quality indicator giving an overall judgment that is somehow, it has the highest agreement with all the other quality indicators, you should use HV. Instead, if you accept to use multiple quality indicators, but you don't want to use all of them, we suggest here to use this MRS, so the representative set, the minimum representative set of these 3 quality indicators. So these 3 quality indicators, they are those that disagree the most to each other, meaning that they give the highest, the largest view of the different type of opinions among the 8 quality indicators. So this concludes my talk. So of course, a lot of analysis I couldn't show, so I invite you to read the paper and write or ask questions if you have any. We also publish all our results and initial data and statistical tests on a GitHub repository. If you want, you can also send us the data, the result of your experiment, and we may integrate in our repository so that we can come up with better solution, or we can refine our findings.
Hi everyone, welcome to this session titled Search-Based Software Engineering and Genetic Operations. The first paper in this session is an empirical evaluation on quality indicators in search-based software engineering, which was published in TOSEM last year. We're very lucky to have two of the authors of the paper here with us. We have Paolo and we have Shaukat. Paolo from Japan and Shaukat from Norway. And so now we welcome all your questions. So in order to ask questions, you have the chat panel next to a presentation on Clouder. And it would just be useful if you click on the question mark in order to label your question as a question so that we don't miss them by mistake. So while people start typing their questions, perhaps I can ask one. So it's very, very nice what you have done in this paper. It's such an extensive empirical evaluation, very nicely presented. Did you have a chance to look into existing literature to see if your findings actually match with what people are doing in search-based software engineering?
Actually, yeah, we look at. Let me share the screen. Maybe it's easier. So yeah, when we started looking at the different quality indicators, of course, we took the one most used in search-based software engineering, but there are surveys in general on quality indicators. And for example, we look at this recent survey that here they say 100 quality indicators. And what we saw that they categorize quality indicators in terms of quality aspect. So something that is in the paper, but I didn't have time to put in the presentation, is that in answering our research question, we tried to match basically their categorization with our findings. So our idea was if we have, because these quality indicators, they cover quality aspect like convergence, spread, uniformity, so are quality of the quality indicator, so what characteristic they look at. So our idea is that if two quality indicators belong to the same quality aspect, usually they should agree. This was our initial intuition. And actually, yeah, I have to skip, but yeah. So what we did, actually, we tried to check. So this is the first research question in which we check overall, which is the agreement. So we check whether the QIs that agree are those that cover the same quality aspect. And this is the summary. So same QI means they cover the same quality aspect, and not significant means that they agree, because the test is not significant. So what is surprising is this result. That means that for all the pairs of QIs that cover the same quality aspect, there were significant differences, meaning that they disagree. And these were for 8 pairs. So somehow what existing categories, they don't totally match with our finding. Or better, agreement is not reflected by these categories. And so that was not surprising, but yeah, meaning that you cannot really totally rely on those categories for choosing one quality indicator.
Thank you very much. We have two questions, one from Giovanni, that I think it's very related to what you just explained. Giovanni asks, have you tried to check for both directions? I mean, do software engineering problems also prefer specific QIs?
Yes, not actually in this paper, but last year at SBSE, we did exactly the opposite work, in which we check whether if you which exactly what you're asking. No, okay, sorry, you mean SE problems? No, we check search algorithm. No, we didn't never check SE problems with respect to the QI. Although, yeah, my opinion is that it's not really the problem. So we found in our paper that there are differences across problems, but we don't have enough data to do a more fine-grained analysis. So we don't know which are the characteristics of the problems that make the agreement change. Because characteristic could be the number of objectives, I don't know, the number of variables, I don't know, the shape of the fit landscape. But in our case, we had 11 such problems, so they were not enough. So we will need many more problems to try to go at that level.
Thank you very much. Exactly, Xavier, you have your answer, I think. Thank you, though. Xavier was asking exactly that about the specificity, specificity of the problem being addressed.
Yeah, right. We did we tried a little bit to check the number of objectives, but still then the sample was too small to draw any conclusion. It seems that the number of objectives is not the cause of changing, but yeah, still we cannot claim anything at that level.
So a little bit more of an adventurous question. If you were to say, right, to a new PhD student that is starting to look into search-based software engineering, and you have to tell them, right, and they need to pick 2 or 3 quality indicators to go by, because they just don't have the time and they have to pick 2 or 3 for any arbitrary problem that they want to apply search-based software engineering on. Is there such a free lunch, let's call it?
No, there is never free lunch. But so that was, yeah, exactly. So what this was somehow not the conclusion of our talk, but of our paper. So we tried to come up with some recommendation. So, for example, if you need to compare 2 MOSAs to search algorithm, for example, I don't know, MOSAs and SGA, maybe you may want to have one representative quality indicator that represent more or less an average, I'd say, agreement among all the other quality indicators. So you should go for HV. Instead, if you want to have like, you want to have an overview of all the different possible opinions, you should select these 3 quality indicators. So C, ED, and GS. So at the end, based on our findings, we try to come up with which quality indicator you should use if you want the most representative one, or the set giving the larger view of the possible opinions. But yeah, as I said in the talk, our idea is that our findings should be integrated by new data. I don't think it will be easy because, okay, people produce data in different formats. I mean, also the initial conditions are slightly different, but if we could like integrate your search result from your search algorithm, maybe we could enlarge our data set, and maybe we could refine these recommendations so that they are more trustworthy. But yeah, but in any case, no, I mean, this is our long-term vision of having this kind of observation, but yeah, we cannot maybe really choose this based on our findings.
But I do agree with Giovanni as well that this table is really, really good, because it's basically something that you would like to print and have it next to your screen in your office, right? So that's very nice. Thank you very much. So we are a bit pressed for time now. We only have 30 seconds left. So I only need to thank you both very much for such a nice paper and such a nice presentation. And if people want to follow up with Paolo and Shaukat, at the end of this Q&A session, you will have a link saying join the discussion. And if you click on that button, you will be navigated to the page where you can continue the discussion with Paolo and Shaukat. Otherwise, stay on this link. Don't click on that button, and the next presentation will start. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.